Hello everyone, welcome to our discussion on research methodology. In the last session, we were discussing about the different types of academic communications like the seminars, the symposia, colloquium, seminars, etc. Today, we are going to see the different sources of information. So, for a researcher and also for a student, uh, and for a knowledge seeker, the complete information which is for a particular topic comes from various sources like the books, the journals, the study reports, government records, or from talking to expert. And in today's scenario, the solution for all these is internet. You get everything, including the books, the journals, government orders, government reports, government records, study reports, also the interviews or talk from the expert, etc. Everything you get from the internet. But the sources of information can be broadly classified into two as primary sources and secondary sources. So, primary sources are uninterpreted or new materials, or they are the first form of the formal appearance. It might be a research work, an original research work, a piece of artwork, an autobiography. It might be interviews, then journal articles, then the original analysis of something, etc. Which are usually of the first formal appearance of the results, which is in the print or in the electronic format. Coming to the secondary sources are usually considered as interpretations, which is used to present some evidence and is used to present the background of a particular project. They are uh, not from a direct source. Such sources are usually referred to as secondary sources. And secondary sources are usually a review of literature is mainly a secondary source where you refer the original articles of other people, etc. Another example of a secondary source is a review article. A review is a particular it might be a paper or an article where the particular person who has reviewed has collected many data relating to a particular topic from different sources or from different original articles. He has compiled it, he has put his own interpretations into it, etc. And such informations or such sources are usually referred to as secondary sources. Example of secondary sources are most of the books, the documentary movies, then the opinions, commentaries, biographies, then reviews. It might be theater reviews, artwork, or movie reviews, everything. Movie review is also an example of a secondary source, etc. Coming to the examples of secondary source, which includes the library books. So the books are the principal secondary source of all type of information, and one can confidently use a book in the library as they have handpicked by the librarian or the academic staff, etc. Books have certain disadvantages, like they may not include the most up to the date development in a subject area nor the more specialized detail. So that is a shortcoming of the book. But as I said, in today's scenario, the internet and the use of internet by every common man has changed this one, because not everyone is going and referring to books, because even books are available in the internet. And if you find an information in a book, you can cross refer it to a particular journal which is, or an article which is updated. If you find something in a book, you can check whether that particular point or that particular topic which is mentioned in the book is now updated or not. So that is also possible with ease in this particular scenario. So that disadvantages of the book can be just neglected in this in today's scenario. Next is the journals. So journals are published at regular intervals throughout the year. So everything comes under journals. നമ്മൾ മാസികകൾ എന്ന് പറയുന്നതെല്ലാമാണ് ജേർണൽസിൽ വരിക. അപ്പോൾ when you come to research also, you have when you come to scientific research also, you have different types of journals which publish either monthly, bi-monthly or tri-monthly, etc. Or there are some journals which publish in 6 months. So they contain the scientific original articles which is published by a particular researcher. This means the journals are published at regular intervals throughout the year, allows to uncover the breaking news, the current developments, etc. So journals mostly publish reports of original research work of scientific papers. So they are publishing the original research work of a scientific paper. So if it is an original, if a journal is having, so journal usually contains reviews as well as original works. So original works can be considered as a primary source, while reviews can be usually considered as a secondary source. So in journals also, we can classify them into two, as a popular journals and also academic journals. So popular journals are the ones which is written for the general public or a general worker in the field of which is known as periodicals. There are many in the field of science, which is the scientific report monthly, the down to earth, etc. So academic journals are written for scholars. So these, like the down to earth, etc., they are written for the general public. They contain scientific information, but which is for the common man, like reviews or data. For example, in down to earth, etc., in this particular scenario, you can read about the articles which articles which is related to COVID disease, post-COVID syndrome, or regarding the vaccinations, etc. So such informations in terms or in the language which is digestible to the general public can be seen in popular journals. But when you come to academic journals, you can have information only with regard to it's completely related to research, where a general or a general public finds it most difficult to digest, because in such journals original research articles will be presented, and they are usually called as the academic journal. Articles of scientists, academicians, etc., are published in such cases. Examples of such ones are Current Science, then Nature, etc., are examples of such journals. Coming to the next one, which is databases. So databases contain details about the individual journal articles, which makes it easier to search and find the articles on a topic. So you have different databases. So databases is like an online library. I usually take the example or analogy of a database to a library, which is a virtual library. So there are different types of databases. So a library is a place where the books are arranged. If you go to a library, for example, to our college library, you can see books as different sections. So if you ask the librarian or the particular person where you can find the books related to biochemistry, he or she will tell you, you go to this section in this cupboard, you can find this particular books of biochemistry. And you can also see in the library the books will be arranged in different shelves according to, if it is literature, according to authors, according to the languages. You will have a section in the language itself. In each rack might be of different authors, etc. So a database is such a library which is virtual. A virtual concept of a library is called as a database. So a database is well curated, like a library, it is well curated. So as I take the analogy of the library, I am going and talking to the librarian and inquiring about a book. In a database, the particular person which give you the result is the search button. what do you want, you can search in the search button. You type it and give a search, you will get whatever you have or searched for. So a database often focuses on a particular subject area. So there are different or n number of databases which is available in the internet. Some of the databases contain full text of articles, conference papers, press releases, etc. So there are many popular databases which are available now electronically. Example is you have the databases of agricultures like the Science Direct, the Web of Knowledge, the Open Science, etc. For environmental related ones, you have the GeoBases, the Science Direct, then Green File, the Web of Knowledge, etc. And for science related journals or scientific papers, you can go and search in something which is called as Science Direct, or you can go and search for a database which is called as PubMed. You can also go and search for science related articles in Web of Science. So there are many databases which is available. You have for tourism like land, then you have for medicine like, as I said, there is PubMed, then Medline, etc. So these are databases. And next is the internet. So internet is also a collection of our primary and secondary sources. So depending upon the information the internet takes up the data, either it can be primary or it can be secondary. It's a valuable and a valid source of information. However, it must be approached with caution. Ensure that the information access over the internet is current and reliable. That is another important thing that is to be noted while you are referring to an internet. You should take the information from a curated, I use the term curated, means it should be well written, or it should be not well written, it should be validated. It should be validated. That particular information which is given in the internet should be validated by a particular source or a particular person. Only if it is validated, you can consider it as a proper information or an valid information. For example, if you search in an example of such a false information is that Wikipedia. So in Wikipedia, you should go, and when you search in a Wikipedia for something, you can see that for some sentences, references are given. References in the form of numbers will be given in Wikipedia. So if references are given, that indicates that that particular sentence or that particular point or whatever has been put in the Wikipedia about that particular thing is validated because a particular reference for that is given. And in some cases in Wikipedia, if you search or if you are going to Wikipedia, in some sentences you can search that reference unavailable. So if a particular sentence is a reference unavailable, it states that it has been added by a person, but he has not validated it or added a reference to it. So if something is added and a reference or a citation for that is missing, that particular information cannot be considered to be valid, because in Wikipedia anyone can access and edit the content in Wikipedia. For example, if a content for say you have a Wikipedia page for Mohanlal, and you can go and edit the information which is present in the Wikipedia. You can add some information regarding his films, you can add some reviews regarding his films, etc. in whatever in the subtopics you can add in Wikipedia. If you have an account in Wikipedia, you have the access to every page in Wikipedia. You can add the information, you can edit it, etc. So if you are adding some information and you put a particular reference to it, reference to that particular thing you have added, that indicates that that information you have referred from somewhere and you have quoted the reference. But in some cases you can find sentences which is written blankly and no references are meant. So such informations which does not contain a reference or a citations is usually considered to be an invalid information. Next is the search engines. Search engines are www is a search engine. So search engine is a service that allows the internet users to search for a content through the www or World Wide Web. A user enters the keywords or phrases into the search engine. Examples of search engines are you have our Google, then Internet Explorer, which is now called as a Microsoft Edge. You have Bing, then you have Yahoo search engine. So there are different search engines which provide you the data from the World Wide Web. A user enters the keywords or key phrases into the search engine, receives a list of web content. Content results in the form of websites, images, videos, etc. So the list of the content returned by the search page to the user is known as the search engine result page, or SERP. A true search engine is an automated software program that moves around the web collecting the web pages to include in its catalog or its databases. There are three main types of search engine tools: search directories or indexes, then hybrid search engines, meta search engines, etc. All of these tools are often referred to as search engines but different in the information contained in the catalog. Search directories. The first one is the search directories or the indexes. The site is a catalog or database of a directory or index which are compiled by humans and not automated software program. The sites are submitted and then assigned to an appropriate category. So it is human cataloged ones which are called as search directories or indices. Next one is hybrid search engines, which present both a crawler based, that is a program that moves around the world by visiting website. It reads the web pages and follows the links further down, and it shows the results and human powered listing. So that's what is called as hybrid, where there is a human curation as well as the machine curation or machine searching is also there in a hybrid search engine. So MSN, etc., then the popular search engines like Google, etc., belongs to this hybrid search engines. Next is the meta search engines, which is multiple, is a tool that helps to locate information available through the World Wide Web. It is a single interface that enables user to search many different search engines, indices, databases, etc. So there are many like the meta search engines. And the examples of the ones are Dogpile, then Metacrawler, etc. The most popular one is, as you all know, it's Google, which is being searched by everybody which is using the internet. Next is online or digital libraries and ebooks, encyclopedia, etc., and also institutional websites. So the digital library or the online library is a virtual library. As I said, it's like a database. So the difference between a database and an online or a digital library is that a database will be containing every information. It's not only books. It usually contains, a database usually contains every sort of information related to that particular topic. For example, if it is a database which is related to agriculture, that particular database will contain the journals, the popular articles, newspaper or the news from the newspapers, journals, magazines, etc. So every data is being pooled in a database. But when you come to an or a digital library, it's the same library. You have books which is virtually which you can access virtually. Our systems providing users with coherent access and very large repository of information and knowledge. The term digital library is of a broad sense is a computerized systems that allows user to obtain a coherent means to access organized electronically stored repository of information and data. So online databases, then CD-ROM information products and computer storage devices, such as optical discs, then DVDs, then memory cards, etc. And databases including digital accessible through the internet can be covered, or that can be are the usual contents of a or of a digital library. Coming to ebooks and e-encyclopedia, or ES usually stands for electronic, and it is widely applied to all types of digital information. An ebook is a book publication which is made available in the digital form, that is simply called as an ebook. An electronic version of a printed book is an ebook. Some ebook exist without a printed equivalent. So in the present scenario, usually the books they rarely go for a hard copy or a printed one. Mostly it is in the electronic format, and after this COVID scenario, the printing of books or the printed books or printed articles have become very very rare, because everyone prefers to be having electronic, because everyone is now accessible to the internet. Everybody is having the internet in their hand tips. As a result, every information or every book, etc., are usually now published in the form of electronic format. Then e-encyclopedia combines the best of the traditional encyclopedia with an extra dimension. Encyclopedia is usually a reference work which summarizes the knowledge from every branches, fields, disciplines, etc. An e-encyclopedia enables a reader to use it electronically through search engines and linking thousands of databases. So that is the difference. In a normal hardbound encyclopedia, you go to the index or you go to the glossary to find out the particular topic you are searching for, and you go to that particular page, etc. And in an electronic encyclopedia, that is done by a search button, as I said earlier. And another form of information comes from the institutional website. Like every college or every institute or every office is having an institutional website now, is a site or a website that aims to inform and reflect the good image of the association, organization, or the public institution. So whatever is available in that particular institution, for example, if it is a college website, you will have what are the courses which is being offered by that institution, what are the departments, who are the faculty, or what are the different programs which is conducted by that particular college. Is that particular college accredited with a particular or affiliated to an university, whether it is recognized by UGC, etc. So every information will be available on an institutional website, etc. Hence, institutional websites are nowadays acting as a tool to mark the credentials of that organization globally. So people are increasingly using the institutional sites for getting required information, like the search of admission for a school, college, etc. With this, we come to the end of this particular topic, like sources of information. In the next session, we will be dealing with a topic which is called as plagiarism. Thanks for hearing.